Hello and welcome back. I'm DG Wiggins, and this video will be the first of a short series of vlogs I'm going to make called The Ghosts of Nanos Past. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I've participated in NanoWriMo 3 times in the past. This November will be my 4th time. Each time I've participated, I have won. That means I've managed to write 50,000 words in the month of November. That doesn't mean I have anything worth publishing though. However, each time I've done NanoWriMo, I've managed to walk away with valuable lessons, and I feel like my writing has improved each year that I've done it. Many people say that you learn more from failing. That's true in most cases. However, I think that you also learn different lessons when you succeed. So if you're looking for a fail lessons video, this one isn't it. So jumping into this, my first NanoWriMo, I wrote about a little squirrely looking alien named Normandy, who goes exploring in some overgrown ruins that used to be home to a super advanced human civilization. But they're all abandoned now, the humans are gone. It was a sci-fi with low-tech characters in a mysterious sort of high-tech abandoned story world. Beyond a few characters and an interesting concept for the world setting though, I had nothing going into this. I'd also never done NanoWriMo before. This was my first time. Ultimately, I ended up with a meandering script that wasn't salvageable. I did have a few small gems though that I could pull out of that script. First, I had one scene about Normandy's tiny energetic sister wearing a plant matter dress and a feather boa, dancing around on a kitchen table, demanding that she be told a bedtime story. Since the day that my mother read that scene, just to review it for me, she's been insisting that I write more like it. She really liked that character. A few other comments that I got from that manuscript, probably particularly from that scene, was that when my writing was in a state of flow, or in other words, it wasn't obvious that I wasn't confident about what I was writing, it sounded like I kind of had a writing voice similar to that of Brian Jacques, author of the Redwall books. At the time, that feedback was both informative and off-putting. I had all these grand designs for like an epic space odyssey sort of set of stories, following Normandy and his friends, exploring the universe and the ruins of the abandoned human civilization, and sort of this mystery element of where did the humans go. A sci-fi Redwall voice, to this day, to me, kind of feels a little bit awkward. The other thing that I was able to later lift from the manuscript was actually a character named Lily, who I literally pulled out of thin air. I was around 35,000 words into my manuscript, and I just didn't have anything. Nothing creative was coming to me. Normandy was stuck somewhere. I didn't know what was going on, or I didn't know what to do with it, at least. And so I just invented this character, Lily, to come in and sort of save the day. And writing scenes with Lily in them was incredibly enjoyable for me. I remember sitting in this local writing group that was meeting up in a Starbucks, and I was just groaning about writing another Normandy scene. Normandy was a great character, but he was just boring, and so much happened inside his head, and I was writing from a third-person point of view and trying to avoid jumping into heads and things like that I don't know, it just wasn't working out. But Lily was much more vocal. She said what she thought. I enjoyed writing her. She was a very interesting character. And so one of my friends suggested that I write more Lily scenes and just keep going with Lily for the rest of my word count. Ultimately, I ended up just taking that advice and doing so. The manuscript I wrote for NanoWriMo 1 for me was about 2/3 about Normandy and 1/3 about Lily. And the last third later became a basis for another 50,000 words that I didn't lift, but I used it to kind of plan out NanoWriMo 3 for me. And I'll talk about that, in that lessons learned video later in this series. Lastly, I learned about how to actually write 50,000 words in a month. I saved this bit for last because this is the sort of thing that you hear in a lot of NanoWriMo lessons learned videos. The whole point of NanoWriMo and this challenge is to teach yourself to develop a habit of writing daily. And I think a secondary point of this is to teach people just how stinking hard it is to write 50,000 words to begin with. If you think about it, you know, the first Harry Potter book was around 78,000 words. So that's like 1.5 NanoWriMos just to write that first draft. And so people, you know, kind of get a grip of, this is hard. You know, this takes a lot of time. I have to actually sit and type to get this stuff done. So if that's all they walk away from NanoWriMo having learned, that's great. But primarily, the point of a successful NanoWriMo is to help you develop those habits of sitting down and writing, setting apart some time of your day, making it a priority to just bang out that first draft. Towards that goal, here's one thing that I found that helped me in this regard. Writing groups. Many people think that writing groups are good for the community and inspiring you to write more, meeting people. The truth that I found was that many people going to writing groups still often didn't meet their writing goals because of the community. There's a lot of people that spend time talking with one another and chatting and ultimately still procrastinating despite the fact that they drove somewhere to meet other people to write. That changes from group to group. It's not all like that. I hosted a meetup group for a while with a friend at a local Starbucks where I felt like we did a pretty good job of strongly focusing on staying heads down and just writing in the presence of other people. And that was helpful, just being there with other people with the similar goal of just banging out that word count. What I do see as really beneficial with regards to writing groups is the idea that you have scheduled a writing time to attend. I later learned that you don't necessarily need it to be a writing group, but at least for this first NanoWriMo, I signed myself up for about 4 to 5 writing groups per week. And that forced me to get out of the house for 2 to 3 hours each of those times and just write. And that really helped me to keep up on word count. Eventually I did this for so many times that I was able to gauge how long it would take me to hit my 1,600 words each day. Today, I'm still not the fastest writer, but if I'm planning out my day, I can say if I have a plot and I'm excited about what I'm about to write, it'll only take me about 2 hours to hit that word count for the day. But if I don't have a plot and I'm not excited about what I'm writing, or if there's some plot holes I'm dealing with, it could take 3.5, maybe 4 hours. So learning that then has helped me to plan today how I'm going to get my writing done. When you watch a lot of NanoWriMo vlogs, where the vlogger is ultimately failing to hit their word count, they're usually struggling with this concept. You see a bit of them in the morning talking about all their plans and their excitement, and then it cuts to the end of the day, 9 p.m. They're lying in their bed, they're yawning, they haven't gotten any more writing done for the day, and they're thinking about eating chocolate and watching another Netflix show. Hitting that daily word count doesn't just happen. If you're going to do NanoWriMo, you need to make NanoWriMo a priority. If you're behind on your word count, then it's not a high enough priority, and you might need to sacrifice some Netflix, some chocolate, something, so that you can force yourself to sit down and write more. Alright, so let's sum up lessons I learned from NanoWriMo. Number 1, when you're just starting writing, pay attention to the kind of writing voice that you naturally like to write in and that people like to read. That will help you plan for your future writing projects. 2, pantsing, writing without a plot, is rough. I learned that lesson in this NanoWriMo, and I probably relearned it in NanoWriMo 2 as well, because that's a hard lesson for some people. The next thing I learned is that pantsing, despite it being rough, can help you discover characters that you really love to write and others love to read. So it's not all bad, but in terms of productivity, I'm still learning that pantsing isn't working out for me. I also learned that you may need to switch characters, particularly if you're pantsing, midway through NanoWriMo in order to hit your word count. And at least for NanoWriMo, that's okay, because you're trying to develop habits, you're trying to get that word count out. Regarding writing groups, I learned that they're great, provided you find the right one. It's got to have a good culture that focuses on productivity, that helps you accomplish your goals. Most importantly, though, I learned that you need to set specific times during each day that you're going to sit and write. Be that part of a writing group or not, that was the key that has carried me through all the later NanoWriMos. That's the one habit that I think if you develop early, then you're going to have much more successful and productive NanoWriMo experience. And I was just blessed to be able to learn that from day one. So those are the lessons that I learned from the ghost of my NanoWriMo number 1. For everybody else, that was November of 2015. If you're interested in reading a 3-paragraph excerpt of the manuscript that I did during that year, there's a link in the description below. Do keep in mind, it is very first rough NanoWriMo quality draft, but it is a little fun excerpt from the beginning of that manuscript when I was focusing more on Normandy. Comment below your lessons learned from past NanoWriMos. Like, share, subscribe for more. I've got 2 more NanoWriMos to talk about in this series, and hopefully you're enjoying this as much as I am, and I will see you all next time in my next video.